Hello generals. In the last couple of videos, I have talked about the reasons that makes your tank do less damage than the enemy. And one of the reasons was the armor of the tank, and we talk about it in a separate video. And another reason is upgrading your tank, and we talk about that in a separate video also. And in this video, we'll discuss about the third reason, and it is the ammunition. Now, I have made a poll about the ammunition. Do you guys want it a short video or a long video? And most of the people decide to be a short video. So we'll not go to many details such as historical things and why it's named like that and all of that. Starting with heat ammunition. Heat ammunition is just the best one that does module damage. That's very known by the heat ammunition. And what is module damage? We'll talk about that. And second thing, they don't lose velocity over distance. So the speed of the shell will stay the same no matter the distance is gonna cut it. So here we have 11,661 heat damage. That is the damage of this tank, and 380 millimeters. We have to keep in mind about these two things. 11,661 and the millimeter of penetration is 380. Now, if this is the armor of it, let's say if you fire here 303 or over here 176, that is less than 380, so the damage will be affected 11,661. Or if the enemy has more armor than that, such as like 400 millimeters of armor, the shell will do zero damage, no damage at all, because it didn't penetrate the armor. Now we have the module damage, 4,667. What is module damage? It's not related to the damage itself, the normal damage, but is related to the modules. What that means, the higher the number is, the more probability to destroy, such as the armor rack. Here is it. If you destroy it, no matter the HP of the tank, will be destroyed by one shot. But it's about luck, but the more higher the damage of the modules, the more possibility of destroying it. Here we have the turret mechanism. If it's been hit, the turret will be jammed and will not be able to move right or left. Fuel tank, if been damaged, it will set the tank on fire. The engine, if it's damaged, the tank will not be able to move. It will be immobilized. And we have the, of course, driving wheels. It will be immobilized also. But heat ammunition do not penetrate, such as driving wheels. You have to use the APC or AP. Next we have the module damage distance. 1.7, 1 meter, 0.7. That is it. What that mean? That mean if we fire from here, that is the distance between the outside of the armor of the tank and the modules that's inside of it, or whatever inside. Here, as we see, it's really close to the ammunition is really close. Unlike from firing from here, there is a lots of distance. So if you fire from the right side, it will be more effective, and on the left side it will be less effective. 1.7, that is the possibility of the penetration that goes in, but the more armor it is, on that side, the let's say hard to get inside. Chance of fire, that is just from is it really let's say really clear? It's chance of making the tank on fire. And next we have max speed 1166. That is the velocity of the shell. Next we have the this ammunition, APBC, damage 10,946, and the penetration is 262. Module damage is less. Here is 2,184. And the module damage distance, as you see, 0.7, so only 70 centimeters. So the ammunition that we have here, it's less powerful than the heat. But the unique thing about the APBC is high velocity. Unlike the heat ammunition or the HE ammunition, they are a little bit slow. The APBC, it's making how it works is just make a shrapnels from itself after getting to the tank armor, or after making the armor itself from the other side being shrapnels after impact. That's how it works. This is just details, so it doesn't affect the match, but that's it. Now we try. Here we have, okay, never mind, I missed it. We fire, yep, 11,661. That is heat ammunition damage, and we fired it. And of course, we made the same damage that should be here. We have another tank that doesn't have unique things about the armor, so we have to make sure. Some tanks have unique things, that's damage reduction, or it says in the armor it says 50% damage to part. That is mean will be less damage by 50%. Here another tank that has no unique things, 11,661, but it's catch on fire, so it's still burning. That's because of 2% of catching fire. Here we have another tank, and this is because it's critical damage. It's made more higher than 11,661. So this is how it's work, the damage of the shell. Such as so you have to watch the armor video so you understand more, and this video so you understand how the ammunition works. So here we have, because it has lots of module damage, we'll try to fire at the ammo rack of the tank, and I think over here is it? Yep, as we see, full ammo rack. So the heat ammunition has a really high module damage, so there is a high possibility of destroying the tanks by one shot. Here I'm trying to find the ammunition, but I don't know where is it exactly. I think here it is. I'm not sure. Here we saw, and again critical damage 17,491, same as the bulldog when we fired at the bulldog. So it's always the same damage. Here we're gonna fire 17,491. That is exactly the critical damage. The critical damage, how it works, it's about 50% more damage than the normal damage it is. So it's about more 50% added to the original damage. That is how critical damage works. And right now we're gonna fire. We hit the ammo rack because the ammo rack of it behind it, and because of the higher module damage, that's more possibility of ammo racking the tank, that if we fired at the ammo rack of the tank. Now after I discussed with you everything about the modules and how damage works, now let's move to another type of ammunition. For example, HE ammunition. The HE ammunition, it has a unique thing that's called explosion damage, that is not seen in the heat ammunition. As we see here, we have only damage and module damage. That's the types of damage. But in HE ammunition, we have another thing that is explosion damage. Here, as we see, they have heat. It's no explosion damage. But here we have explosion damage is 6,240, and the damage 14,040. Well, how it works? Well, for the start, the HE always has less penetration than all the types of the ammunition we have. The HE is the slowest type of shells at hitting its target. This is another thing that you need to know about the HE. And what is HE exactly? Well, it's just let's say a bullet that's full of TNT or something like that. It's explosion. But the explosion damage that's written in it, it's mean it's really related to the original damage, because the explosion damage is added to the normal damage. So for example, let's say that you try to fire at the tank that has about 200 millimeters, and the penetration isn't able to penetrate and do that damage. Well, it will be negated the damage that is in the top, but the explosion damage will still be affected because it's explosive damage. So it's still gonna make the damage because it's just explosive, as we know. But if it's penetrate, it's gonna make the normal damage and the explosive damage. But keep in mind, it's not gonna be full explosive damage because the mechanism of explosion damage is a little bit different. How it works? You have to have some imagination. See, we're gonna fire over here 17,739. Now we fired that over there. How we can make maximum damage? And because both of the damage and the explosive damage make more than that, why it's just 70,000? Well, there is a reason about it, because the mechanism of the HE is working on where is being hit and how much of the armor of the tank can cover, because you have to imagine that the shell is explode and how much damage. As we see, we are firing here. It has radius damage, so if you didn't hit the tank exactly, you can fire near to it and still making damage. That is because it has unique thing that's called radius damage. That is mean how much the explosion is spread out. Here we're gonna fire it near to it, under the tank exactly. Let's fire one far, so 2 damage. Near 1051, much more closer, 1297. This is how the HE is working. There is a radius. Now we fired over here because there is only one space of armor. But if we fired at the turret, behind the turret, because there is the turret and the upper plate of the rear, so there is 2 space of the tank that can be penetrated, we made the damage much more, because there is a radius damage and the explosion is covering much more the tank. That is why when you're firing from an aircraft, you are saying, okay, this missile is doing like, let's say, 10,000 damage. How a tank has about let's say 20,000 HP, how it's getting exploded by one missile that does only 10,000? Well, that's because explosive damage too. If the missile goes like straight in the center of the tank and covering a lots of let's say the space of the explosion is covering a lot of the armor of the tank, that means more damage to the tank. So it's going to the center of the turret of the tank, that will make much more damage. That's why sometimes you fire a missile that does 10,000 damage and there is explosive damage added to it. It's about like 12,000. That's mean about like there is a possibility of getting about 22,000 damage to the tank and will be exploded by one shot. There is many things, such as I have missiles that I'm using some in my jet that does 20,000 damage. But how I'm destroying a tank that is it has HP about 40,000? Well, as I said, this is how it works. I know it's a tricky thing about the HE, but that's how it works. Here I'm trying the heat ammunition that does the maximum damage of the modules, and that's how it works. Now let's talk about the most common type of ammunition, and it is the APFSDS, or how it's called, armor piercing stabilized or sabot. Well, it is so similar to APBC. It is it has a lots of doesn't have explosive damage, and it has very high velocity. That's all you have to know, and it works like a needle. something like that. It doesn't make a big impact to the tank, but it has a really good penetration. That's if you fired at the exactly the module, it will make damage. Here we have the heat ammunition that is guided, that you can guide the shells. So if you fire, you can move the shell whenever is it. So it doesn't care about the, let's say, about aiming. You don't need to aim. You only fire and then you can aim it whenever you want. The other heat is just another type of heat, just the shape of it is different. So guys, after I have covered all the unique types of ammunition, the rest of them are so similar, but after you understand the stats and how the stats works on each ammunition, it will make it all easier for you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like the information that I gave, please give a like and subscribe and leave a comment below. It will help to the channel get grow faster. Well, have a nice day guys. See you next video. Bye bye.